And we should be live now.
Yay.
Hello, everyone. Let me just throw myself up in there real quick. Oop, that's not right. Let me just move you down real quick. Myself. There we are. Hello, everyone. I actually don't know who's... Oh, hello, Jacob. So, I've got myself a nice little friend here. Omegon, say hi.
Hello, Omegon.
Now, I was told to send this link to Bear when we started, so let me quickly grab that. In the meantime, how are you doing?
I'm good. Enjoying, well, my day actually.
Oh,
Been
that's good.
editing, playing video games, editing, mostly editing, and watching the cringiest crap I could ever stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been good.
Oh,
You?
good. I just got off work, and so it's not all great, but it's not all bad either, I suppose.
It's a really hard life being Baron Trump, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry, doxed.
Oh yes, of course. That's what everyone knows me as nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Baron von Trump.
Yep.
So have you actually seen any of the videos that I had ever put up on the food for thought theory?
Nope.
All right. Would you like me to explain it a little bit so that we're all on the same
Go for it.
page? So basically, the idea for the food for thought series was that um, I would be able to take all the thoughts that I have throughout my day, and I would be able to come on here and explain them all, and hopefully get other people to hear the things that I have to say, and perhaps also, bring those kinds of conversations to their friends, because a lot of them are more philosophical. A lot of them are more, uh, how do you say, more existential than just this politics here and this, that, and the other.
Right.
So the topic that I had wanted to go on to explain or talk about today was the idea about humility. And this had actually been one of the thoughts that I had had a while back, but it's kind of based in the idea that you could sit and listen to somebody, and instead of instinctively saying, "Oh, I know," or especially when they're trying to give you advice or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
um, that you'd be able to take a step back and actually sit and really listen to what they have to say. A lot of people don't actually are reluctant to do so, and I'm not quite sure why that is, but it seems to be more and more that it's been happening, and especially now that I have seen the folks, the ones actually you mentioned today in your video. You had mentioned something along the lines of not taking, not being so ignorant in your own thoughts.
Mm.
So I was wondering if, hello, Joe, nice to see you as well. I was wondering if you wanted to maybe talk about your experiences with humility and what you think of it in terms of how important it is.
I think it's a very important thing to have as a creator. Always be grateful for what you have. And I notice I'm very concerned about it, certainly as my channel gets bigger, with how this affects creators' egos, because they do change. As the channel gets bigger, they themselves are renowned for becoming more and more egotistical. There are some that build with people, so it's not so obvious, or work with people even. But then there are others who use that arrogance as a sign of status. So their humility is diminished over time because of this supposed status from being more successful than others in their respected field. I
Apparently.
personally think it's a very important thing to have, even though I might not portray it on my server that much. To be to have a certain level of humility and gratefulness. Otherwise, you end up becoming a very arrogant shit. I can't be bothered with that. I'm too lazy.
Right. Now, do you think it's a problem amongst creators, or do you think it's...
Some creators, some that let the arrogance get to them. I mean, you could certainly look at younger creators who are vastly more successful. Let's go with the most well-known flexer on YouTube, and that would be Rice Gum. You could say the polls, but Rice Gum was doing this before then. He
Yeah.
makes a lot of money. He makes crap content, and all it is him flexing. But millions still watch him, and it fuels his ego to continue flexing
Mm-hmm.
and buy ridiculously expensive clothing. I don't get it.
Now, do you think it's something that helps him in the long run, or do you think it ends up
Uh,
hurting him?
in the short term, it helps him because it gets him the views and makes him the money. But in the long term, no, because these viewers are going to get older, like he will.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, he'll have to change his format to either retain the viewers by maturing, or keep doing that and end up like some Vanilla Ice knockoff.
Vanilla Ice knockoff.
Well, he basically is. Let's face
Mm-hmm.
it, he's shit.
Now, do you...
There are other creators like that who have relevancy only because of that shock value. The Pauls are perfect examples. There are others who, for example, let's go with Logan Paul. He's only really famous because of Vine, and now
Mhm.
he's promoted heavily by YouTube, even though he's fucked up a few times. And then you've got his soon-to-be opponent this week, KSI. KSI's been on this platform for 8 years. He has built an empire, and
Oh,
that's what he's done.
I can't wait for
With
that fight, by the way.
KSI's going to knock the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I hope Deji does the same. But Deji, Deji, oh dear. But it doesn't matter. With them two, so Comedy Shorts Game and KSI, they have built their channels, they've built a brand. The Pauls appeared ego and they got it. They had this, they have no humility. And even when Logan Paul apologized, his apologies were so weak. They looked like not apologies. It was like when Jeff Holiday apologized for his involvement in the doxing server. He didn't apologize at all, and he did an hour-long video. He said sorry once, but then he had to explain himself. It's like saying, I'm sorry, but. That's not humility. That's arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
It, if anything, shows that you don't have the character to possess humility. And humility is important. If you don't have it, people won't... Certainly, small creators, if you want to be noticed, you're not going to be noticed for being an arrogant shit. They're going to be deterred from wanting to support you. They're going to be deterred from watching you. They want to know that you're a good person, even if you portray something else. They want to know that there's someone decent behind it.
Mm-hmm. Now,
and that's where the polls fail.
Do you think that it's something that is taught to you as you grow up by your parents, or do you think it's something that's taught to you by experiencing life?
I'd say both.
Okay.
Because it depends on the parenting family you come from. I came from a regular family as a child, but poor. So every time I got something nice, I was so grateful. 4 kids, it was always a struggle to be noticed, middle child. But I was in, like, okay, so, and this is a bit of arrogance, I guess. I learned to read when I was 2. I then had to wait at school until everyone else caught up with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was doing that, I was learning to do other things that I thought were more important, like gardening, helping family members. And then you learn lessons from them when they talk to you. If they talk to you like an adult, not a fucking child.
Right. Now, do you think a lot of people... Do you think people grow arrogant or grow out of humility because they are still treated like a child despite maturity?
Again, I think it depends. Depends on the environment you've grown up in. And the example could be, you could use myself, and then you could use the Pauls. They are the most arrogant fucks you can imagine. And they've been enabled by everyone. And they've been rewarded for it financially, massively. I don't think
Joe
arrogance...
says that's boasting.
Is it what, me learning to read when I was 2? Yes.
Yes.
Suck
That's
it. I could read like an adult at 2 years old. Congratulations.
no, that's good, and that shows at least they were
Yeah, but
the.
the British education system's a bit of a fail.
Hmm.
Because if I could read as well as an adult at 2 years old, why the fuck was I having to wait for everyone else to catch up with me?
Oh
Why was
yeah,
I being held back? Why was I being held back? That to me seemed ridiculous. And okay, maybe there'll be some. Maybe they were worried that I would turn out even though it wasn't around them. Maybe they thought I'd turn out like Sheldon Cooper,
oh yeah, yeah. Of course,
who has no humility at all either. Just to be clear,
he has no empathy either.
no, he has nothing.
He's nothing.
Well,
He actually
lost his virginity at least.
yeah. It took a while.
Oh
Um,
shit!
but
What would you
what was I gonna say? The
don't know.
the the biggest thing that I always thought when I first came up with the idea of humility is my mom used to tell me that when I was younger, I would always answer I know, I know, I know to everything. And this was like 4, 5, 6 years old.
I would have punched you in the face.
Well, this is the thing though. She would say, "No, Nick, you don't know," and I would say, "Okay, let me show you," and I would do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this has kind of put me in a strange position because on the one hand, I had to be humble in that I didn't necessarily say I know to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I also had to understand my own ability and not shoot too hard or shoot too high um, in what I think I could actually accomplish. So it's a strange disconnect between humility and accepting that some things are bigger than you, and rising up to a challenge in order to prove your naysayers wrong.
Well, there's nothing wrong with aspiring for greatness, as it were, or aspiring to greatness. And it would be wrong to think that there wasn't a level of arrogance involved. Because if you want to succeed, you want to be the best. You've got to have a bit of an ego,
Mm.
just a little. But it doesn't. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have that in that particular context. It's like wanting to be a world champion boxer or something.
Yeah.
That's your dream. You get there, that you're grateful. A few defenses later, you're like, yeah, I'm the fucking bee's knees, you cunts. Pay me.
Well, it's interesting because you bring up boxing, and I think of Floyd Mayweather actually is actually quite a humble person, oddly enough.
I've watched enough of his video. Okay, so he gets a lot of flack because he puts on that persona,
Mm-hmm.
but it cannot be denied. Of this particular era, he is the greatest boxer of this generation,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd argue a few generations earlier. In fact, he rarely got hit, and that's what made him so good.
Oh right.
That was why he lasted so long because people just didn't hit him.
And he was very reserved in his own actions. So while they
Well,
were,
his defense was impenetrable.
oh, absolutely.
He rarely connected. That's what made him so good.
But then you kind of look
And
at somebody like in the UFC, like Brock Lesnar, when he was reigning champion for so long. He was an
he wasn't
arrogant
actually
dick.
he wasn't actually champion for that long. Believe it or not. Okay, so people think you are because of the time passing,
Mm-hmm.
but actually, he only defended the belt twice,
Really?
which was tied for the top number of defenses. In fact, the longest reign of any champion has been heavyweight has been 2 defenses,
Hmm.
and Brock Lesnar was devastating, but Brock Lesnar lost. And when he lost, he always lost early because he gassed. He put everything together with them sooner, and he failed. But he was devastating. It was like Ronda Rousey, although she was a long-term champion.
Mm-hmm.
Her arrogance was over the top, like to the point where she refused to obey certain courtesy rules that people had in place before fights. She was just a cocky fuck. And what happened? Holly Holm kicked her in the neck, and she was done.
Mm-hmm.
It was over. Now she's wrestling for the WWE. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So was Brock Lesnar, right? Interestingly enough.
Well, he's probably going to go to the UFC and fight Daniel Cormier for the heavyweight title now.
Which is weird because then CM Punk moved from the WWE to UFC as well,
And lost twice, yes.
well, I mean, you got to start somewhere.
And he lost the second time, it was embarrassing because the guy clearly was holding back.
Yeah. I mean, you
Like,
gotta
he was
start
just playing.
somewhere, and your whole life you've been basically, play fighting.
Yeah,
So
and with the money he made, you'd think, why bother at that point? I mean, you're nearly 40, it's over. But he was he because he wasn't successful. CM Punk can at least be humble.
mhm.
Brock Lesnar was successful, even though he lost his first fight. He was successful, and and so was Rousey, even though she, like Lesnar, went the same way, got knocked out.
If you had to
Um,
say that there was an ideal role model, either in our center of YouTube commentary or
what someone
in
who isn't arrogant, somebody who's humble, grateful, and nice.
yeah, sure.
Well, it has to be Phil DeFranco.
Really, you think so?
Has to be.
Hmm. I like him a lot. I've seen him
You
grow
could
over the years.
you could say Boogie because he puts his flaws out there,
Yeah.
but I would argue he's a bad role model because unlike Phil, he's made all his mistakes and aired it, whereas Phil has not put his mistakes out there. If he's made any at all, I honestly couldn't tell you.
Well, I mean, he's made mistakes, but you could chalk them up to being young and being uh,
It's not like he made a video with a white polar bear hand puppet called Polly the polar bear. And today's word, everyone, is nigger. Yeah, it's
rip
not like he did
monetization
that.
from my channel.
And then 6 years later was like, oops.
Yeah. And then
You're not monetized, are you? Because I'm about to demonetize you.
I don't have enough subs or hours watched.
Actually, I thought you would have had 1,000 by now. My mistake.
No, I only have 105 actually.
No, you're over 100 though. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. A lot of
The
that was
first
due to
100.
you.
When I spoke to Bene about this, when I had like 34 subs, he said to him, because he had like 4,000 at the time. He told me the hardest part was getting the first 100. That was the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to 1,000 was easier.
Mm,
Although I'd argue
really?
it took a little bit longer. Yeah, I tend to agree because I made really bad content back then. My audio was horrific, and I didn't edit it very well.
See,
Yeah,
I still worry that like especially for streams, it's hard to get the instant feedback that you would kind of want to be able to hear yourself and the other person and make sure that all audio levels. Because I used to be an audio engineer in college.
if, if someone moans about that in the chat, then I adjust it. Otherwise, I ignore it.
Yeah, Joe had actually.
Yeah, I saw. I'm reading the chat. I can see the chat.
Mhm. So I was able to pull you a little up. So
Hey, Joe, do you still have the Heartbreak Kids intro music stuck in your head?
Shawn Michaels.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm using it in a video.
Oh, I fucking love Shawn
Because
Michaels.
one of the girl I'm doing that big video on, all her girlfriends all look like boys, so I've decided to play the "I'm a sexy boy" or pictures of them on screen. It's a bit tongue in cheek and a bit mean, but I think it's funny.
You could have also used "Damn, I feel like a woman," or
Not for
looks
the
like
ones I've
a
gone with.
walks like
The
a man.
pictures I've gone with, one of them looks like a terminal cancer patient.
Joe said yes.
Fantastic.
But no, it's interesting for the first 100. It's been is a humbling experience, I guess you could say.
It's certainly not something you'd want to sit back and be like, "Yeah, I got 100. Fuck everyone. I'm the best. Suck my dick, everyone. Suck it."
Right, exactly. But
It's just even I don't know how many I have actually. Whatever it is I have, I don't want to be like that.
mm-hmm.
That scares me a little. I think that could be the end. That would be the end of it. It'd be like, why bother continuing if you're just gonna start being a dick to people?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's interesting because actually one of my friends, when I had stopped the first time, because my channel actually this channel in particular used to be a gaming channel.
Enough market to crack.
Yeah, well, back then I actually have several unlisted videos that have some a couple hundred, a couple thousand views.
Really?
But I had stopped because this was mid college, and I wasn't able really to commit all the time that I wanted. Plus, a lot of them ended up getting copyright claimed because I liked playing a lot of Nintendo games.
I recently started getting those for videos from 2 years ago, for music from Sandwich Wench videos, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, Well, I used to love playing like Zelda and whatnot, but that's a good way
Yeah.
to get copyright strike and you have no audio on your video.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I mean I understand they trademark almost everything about them. So I mean this channel stopped at one point. That was my first 80 something. So
Mm-hmm.
subs
Mm-hmm.
was all the gaming people. It's only just now that I have to re-earn those 80 something subs
Right.
because I guarantee you most of them aren't active accounts. Um, at least not anymore. Um, and that's been a hard one to look at my sub count and then look at like views per video and be like, it's not great.
Yeah.
um, but you know that has been something that um, that I've been working on. So you know it's something. But back to the original idea, who would you say is the worst role model in our area of in YouTube?
Oh well, a few of them have been caught out over the years. One of them is self-professed arrogant, and so I'd probably go with, even though Monday Matt fucked up because of his arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Armored Skeptic is the worst one because he's admitted to being arrogant, and his mistakes are because of his own laziness when it came to research, because he got involved in shit that he didn't understand, like postmodernism. Like, honestly, it doesn't take long to actually bother to read. It really doesn't. And then you just read a few critical approach perceptions of postmodern theory, and you find out that a lot of people who have criticisms of Lyotard's work generally find him a bit more of a nihilist. That's where a lot of the arguments come from. But he didn't know this because he didn't do the research.
Oh, I see.
Whereas I've read postmodern theory, Jean-Francois Lyotard is actually quite an interesting man,
Mm-hmm.
and so is the work. Hi, Irate there.
Hi,
If you
Bear.
want to join us, we're in my voice chat on my server.
Yeah, if you're more than welcome to hop in here if you'd like.
Yeah. It's been quite interesting to watch his arrogance, because it's a bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are others. There are other creators in our area that are quite cocky. You just have to. I don't want to talk to those kind of people. It's like I like talking to Irate Bear because he's quite grateful. I like talking to Misa. I like talking to Drunkle, even though he texts me at 5 in the morning every other day. It's quite bad.
Oh, did it give you another one?
Well, it does all the fucking time. I just don't reply to him. Because like earlier, before I came on here, I was on a stream with White Sith Male.
Uh-huh.
Guy has 1,000 subscribers. He doesn't even make content anymore. He just streams karaoke streams and gaming streams. You know, it's nice to chat to people that I like, not, and the sub count becomes irrelevant at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to play video games with people.
That is the
Hell,
one. That is the one.
I stream
concern.
video games. I stream video games with patrons as well, because it's good fun.
You like talking to me because I'm grateful.
You are.
Of what?
All the sexual advances.
Thank you for not clarifying what I was asking.
Hi, Bear. How you doing?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
How you been, mate?
Bit anxious.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm
There's
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, just comes and goes. Somebody should just fucking shoot me at this point. But how are we, my darlings?
Oh, we're doing quite well. We're discussing
Bit tired, otherwise good, yeah.
the best models of the best and the worst in terms of humility of our YouTube sector.
Yeah, social commentary.
Okay.
Who do you think?
The most humble.
Who's the most humble?
Mm-hmm.
Me.
Yep.
And that's not me trying to humble brag. I genuinely think it's me.
Who do you think's the worst one for it? Say drunkle, say drunkle, say drunkle.
What you mean? What, for humble bragging or just
Yeah, who's lacking in humility?
Oh.
I went with Armored Skeptic. I genuinely think because
That's a good choice.
He's admitted to being arrogant, and he puts very little research into his work.
That is a good choice. I personally would have gone with Mundane Matt in terms of pure, unadulterated arrogance.
Yeah, he did kind of let it get to his head a bit.
But I can't really disagree with you, Omegon. I mean, Armor Skeptic is awful.
I do love his earlier work, but then he moved into the anti-SGW stuff. He shat
Mm.
all over it, and then went back to doing what he used to do. It's like, oh come on, you've got to be kidding me, right?
See, now it's hard for me because I actually quite like the dynamic between him and Shu.
Oh yeah, I like watching the sub dom thing. Yeah, it's very entertaining.
Yeah, well, it's like looking through a window into their lives for a moment.
At this point, I think he may as well just make a video of them two fucking. It'll probably still get the same views as other content.
He's hinted that it already exists.
Imagine my shock.
He's awfully confident for a fat man.
Yeah, it might be because he still has a full head of hair.
Perhaps
Because
he does have fabulous hair.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have the hair and you're fat, oh dear. Yeah, you're a virgin and you're never getting laid.
He's got the '90s boy band look about him. You know, like after the band split up, kind of look.
Yeah, knock off Backstreet Boys. What are they called? East something.
E17.
Yeah, probably that.
East's 18 stone.
East 18 stone
That
plus.
sounds like it sounds like a fucking screen name.
For his height, he's probably close to 19.
I don't know. I'm sure if I met him, I'm sure I'd probably get on with him. The same with Shu, but they both aggravate me in some way.
If I met him, I'd make sure I had a pair of hair clippers in one hand, and I'd do it right down the fucking middle.
See, Joe agrees. Apparently, says he's irritatingly arrogant. What do you think, Joe? Highs and lows.
I love before he got doxxed by McDerp cunt. You know, I liked his content because he didn't know who he was. It was just a character. But unfortunately, when we met the guy, you realized, yeah, it wasn't a character. The voice is slightly put on, but no, that's not a character.
For me, the whole bearing thing is what antagonized me the most.
Oh yeah, I thought that was more out of jealousy, considering how quick Bearing grew.
Mm-hmm.
Bearing's always been since Bearing overtook him in subscriber count. It's not surprising. I mean, he's been above him ever since.
Yeah.
And I know he doesn't like Undoomed either, but Undoomed is less frequent with content upload.
He's a busy guy.
He is, yeah. But with Bearing, he was just jealous, and that was obvious.
Mm.
If you didn't
you
like
saying
him,
Skeptic it was, or
oh, Skeptic did not like him. He pretty much just shat all over him whenever he was on streams with people that especially didn't like Bearing.
See, and by the way, I didn't follow your guys' drama as much because I had only just recently gotten into it.
I don't follow it so much. I basically DM people and they tell me what happened. They give me the Cliff's Notes because I can't be bothered to get involved.
Oh, that's fair. Oh, I remember you made a video about that. I was able to comment
on the Monday Matt stuff without having to get involved because I got the Cliff's Notes from someone and I was like, oh, right. Yeah, he fucked up. Let's make a video on this.
Now, do you guys think that, back to the topic at hand, do you think that it was one particular person who instilled the idea that you should be humble, or do you think it was a specific moment in your life?
I think it's the third option. It's not. It could be It could be connected to a person. It could be an event. It could just be the way you grew up. So more of a societal thing rather than person or event.
Yeah, more environmental. For me, it was being beaten up, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. I would agree on that, but I didn't let them.
Yeah, you're a rather daunting individual, aren't you?
Yeah, I wasn't when I was a kid. Until I was 15, I was like 4'2" or something. I honestly I just couldn't tolerate the shit. I was like, no, we're not doing this. So I beat the fuck out of them.
Unfortunately, when I was beaten up, I was not in a position to fight back.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But that's a story for another day.
That's fine. Joe agrees. Armored Skeptic is the least humble. Couldn't say most humble. She gives us credit. A lot of you guys are. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
I think it's good to be. I think you've got to be grateful. If that's not at the forefront of your thought when you talk to other people, especially if they're not creators and they're like fans, or they say they're fans, and that, by the way, still feels alien to even say. But when people say they are, or they call you senpai, they send you fan art, they support you, you have to be grateful. You have to, because if you're not, you're just being a dick.
I don't like using the term fans or even
Yeah, I don't either.
saying my subscribers.
It does feel weird, doesn't it?
I kind of feel like it's insulting
Mm.
to other people, so I try not to use it. I try to be a bit conscious about it, but
I mean, there are some words I'm okay using, like with the wenches. I think it's perfectly acceptable to call the wenches the wenches.
oh well, that's different. That's the banter. That's
Yeah,
That's
a
part of the
your
character.
brand.
I have no idea how I get away with that either.
It's a part of your brand, Omegon. So it's like me. I call mine bigots,
You do actually. I like that.
and they love it. So
I think it has something to do with kind of how you established your presence on YouTube.
Yeah, you have to have one of those moments where you just make a standout thing,
Right.
or you have a video go viral and you build on that.
Right. That's kind of
Like-
how the thing happened with you, Bear, and the whole Downs thing, wasn't it? That you were joking around and then it stuck.
well, yeah, it's a thing that me and Omegon kind of started together.
Yep.
You know, and
I asked him to record it, and I used it in a video.
I was in one of my very very silly moods. And Omegon
It
was
was
like,
so good though.
will you do this? And what I did was I took it and I applied it to what's that guy's name? Omegon, the old fucking senile lunatic.
I can't remember, but I remember you doing a lot of psychotic stuff in a chair for me as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I'm sure I've still got the video on my desktop somewhere. Where is it?
Oh no.
Where,
I remember that. And that actually okay. So I remember seeing someone clap.
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky.
Chomsky.
Yes,
Mm.
that was it.
He's an
He
absolute
said
psycho.
he said something mental in a video.
Oh
So-
yeah.
He says
Yeah,
I can't
I
remember what he
remember.
said, but he said some crazy senile fucking old bastard shit, and then it cut to me fucking spurging out in my chair like so violently that I fell out of my chair, and then it cut to me looking at the camera really closely and going, "I've got Downs."
But I think that was before you did the more animated version. It was like deadpan. I have Downs. I was guilty. I remember the reason I asked for that. I remember because I saw a video and somebody, to mock their mate who was behind them, who clapped 3 times. They clapped and inserted the words "I have Downs," and I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get Bear to say that for me." Fuck it.
Yeah, it's in the character progression there as well, as you were saying before, Trups. You know, with Lord Bear, you know, he called, because the majority of my subscriber base is American, he calls Americans filthy colonists, and they love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Omegon does the same for me.
What do
That's
I do?
why my name has steadily become more and more akin to Donald Trump.
Oh, I changed his name on the server to TrupsLP
Okay.
instead of TrupsLP. It's Trump.
Which
Because
is
his
fine and
full name,
dandy.
his real name is Baron Trump Doxed.
I gotta take the avatar here and just put like a yellow wig on him.
There
Hey,
you
son, they're starting to develop the hairstyle. Just saying. So who do you think's outside of our social political commentary sort of area? Who do you think has the lowest, like the least amount of humility, and who has the most?
The least
go.
amount?
Outside of social commentary.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh,
Keemstar probably.
no, Keem had.
He's not great for humility, is he?
He
No,
had a
he's not.
humbling moment though.
He did. He got battered by the community, but
Wasn't it Irate that fucked him, or was it iDubbbz that
well,
fucked him?
they actually teamed up together. A lot of these commentary YouTubers, Grade A, Leafy, you know, they all sort of teamed up to try and take Keemstar down.
Yeah,
Which
work.
didn't work. But
In fact, he's growing really well now. He's nearly over 4 million subs now. It's great for him.
yeah, he's walked away with it quite nicely. I'd say it's Keemstar. I can't really think of any other YouTuber
I would
who.
say he has the blessing that he has done things that have made him very rich outside of YouTube as well. So his arrogance comes from the fact that he is successful.
Well, he was a part of the original Bloodsports.
He was. I mean, he still technically is.
He did. He
Occasionally
used to
does
do a
that.
show back in 2009-10, I think it was. What was it called? Battle something?
I know what you're talking about, and I can't remember the name. But it was always good fun to watch those because he just pull out the popcorn and actually eat it.
Do you guys
Um,
remember Syndicate? I think the guy's name was. He was a
yeah,
CS:GO
he's still
streamer.
around. He's in some drama at the moment because he made a fucking flamethrower and
Yeah,
started using it in his fucking garden. The retard.
I think I would give him probably least humble because of his blatant and no empathy for all his scams, for
Oh, the
all his
Oh,
scams.
I
money
think I know who
laundering.
you're talking about. I'm sure I used to be subscribed to him.
He made
Gaming YouTuber.
Yeah,
yeah. He used to
You,
Call
you,
of
you
Duty
used the kid with
and
cancer to sort of make himself look humble.
yeah.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
one of the major Call of Duty gamers as well.
Yeah.
And he had a bunch of scams people to get stuff from websites, and he made millions from it.
Mm-hmm. No, he was an absolute scumbag.
He did the thing with the CS:GO gambling thing that
Yeah,
Yes,
was on
that.
Steam.
Yeah.
And there was a video he did where I thought, do you know what? I'm unsubscribing from this cunt. He walked into a game store. Trups, I don't know in America whether you have the store brand of Game. It's just called Game with like purplish writing.
Not really, but sure. Go ahead.
It's a big gaming outlet here in the UK, and he walked in there to see whether anyone there working there would recognize him.
Okay.
Specifically to do that. I was just like, oh, fuck off, mate.
Well, that's like Rice Gum when he got those Supreme shirts and he walked past an entire queue of people who were trying to get their hands on one.
Oh yeah, Rice Gum's pretty bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he's pretty bad too.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
he's pretty awful.
Hi, Discanar. How are you? But then outside of the commentary genre, I guess then the question is who is most humble?
I'm gonna stick with earlier mentioned KSI.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with Philip DeFranco again.
No, he's commentary.
Hmm.
I mentioned KSI because he built his brand, and he's very grateful for it. And he has said it on many occasions.
I would disagree.
That's fine.
Purely based on the fact that when he released his movie, which I haven't had the displeasure of watching.
Oh God, I haven't watched that. No, I haven't seen... I might make that a Patreon thing to make them suffer.
Get everyone into a room together.
He did a
and we'll all watch
movie
it.
and complained about people pirating it. And then they caught him out. They caught him pirating Sony Vegas.
Pro, yeah.
It's just like, come on.
I don't know if that's arrogance or a lack of humility and more just an absolute cheapness. Right? You're known for having millions in the bank and you decide to pirate Vegas Pro. But I would point out, Vegas Pro crashes whether you own it or not. I own a copy of Vegas Pro 14. It's crashed my laptop so many times. But the pirated version never crashed my laptop once. Fuck me, those patches were perfect.
I have my
don't
Adobe
know.
Premiere, and that thing has been crashing on me since the most recent update.
I can't afford that, unfortunately. YouTube doesn't pay that well.
Yeah. I bought the year subscription when I still had money, and I
What's
just put it
that?
away. Oh, I don't know. It's the screen shit that I occasionally have in cash. Otherwise, it's just numbers in a bank statement.
The only money I had recently, I decided to spend on replacing some shisha stuff for this hookah I found that I had from uni back up in the loft recently. And I was
Hey,
like,
you know I have like three hookahs, right?
I've got one, and I found it in a box up in the loft of my stuff, and I was like, bring it down. I thought I had some stuff up there, didn't, so I went on eBay, bought some.
I got a
I did that once in Greece.
It's good fun.
Disconar. Yes, you are definitely the most humble. Yep, of course. No, hookah is honestly like something really fun. I honestly want to just do a chill stream eventually where I just sit around and smoke and chat with people. Maybe I'll do that some other next week sometime. But what was I gonna say? Bear, what would be your opinion on this was a question I had asked Omegon earlier, but
Did I ever answer it?
yes,
Oh, okay, then we're fine.
yeah.
Where's my chocolate?
It was the idea of where do you think the idea of humility comes from? Do you think it's something that you're raised with, or do you think it's a societal thing? Do you, or do you think it's like a realization?
It's possible that the very concept of it may have come from religion, or may have come possibly even earlier. You know,
Hmm.
the idea of a caveman trying to hunt down a mammoth and failing, I suppose, which would have taught him humility and taught him to be more core. I don't know where
I think humility is more. It's definitely a social construct. It's definitely. I don't know if it would have. Very hard to work out if it could have existed in such an early age.
Is it
But I
coming
would.
to
You
terms
might
with
have. You might
failure, I
actually have.
wonder?
You might actually have a very good point with religion, though. But I do want to change my first answer.
Okay.
I think humility comes from black people.
Why? Why?
Yeah, come.
I don't need a reason.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I think religion might be a very good answer, actually, because it teaches morals as well.
Yeah, I think the
Oh, Disconnect just subbed me
the whole
finally.
social construct aspect of it would have come from religion itself. But before then, we wouldn't have had a name for it. I think we would have called it just more moral cautiousness, perhaps. I don't know.
Disconnect finally subbed my goddamn channel.
Disconnect.
Before he gets arrogant, I don't think I could get arrogant with the whole YouTube thing because, I mean, let's be honest. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have had nearly any kind of exposure. So even in that aspect, I owe a lot of any success that comes thereafter from you. So.
I just realized the stream just got incredibly homosexual.
Oh yeah, it's been a major sausage party.
I might as well but pull my pants down at this point.
Oh yes.
Yeah, me too. Hang on. All right, I'm ready. I've got my big glittery pink drink. We're good.
Good. I'm gonna put on my helmet.
I'll get the water wings.
I'm gonna spark up.
We're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah, let's have a good time.
I need this. I need just that. I need to clip that. There's an animation for you, right there. Oh my god. But yeah, the one of the other thoughts that I had with regards to the humility thing and why it was such an important topic that I had wanted to discuss was when I was younger, but I was still a teenager. My grandmother used to be the one to usher me from place to place a lot because my parents were both working. And she would basically tell me the stories and tell me the lessons that my grandfather really took to heart. My grandfather was very much the pinnacle of a gentleman. He is English-Irish, so he comes from your side of the pond. And
we don't want him.
Oh, that's all right. I could have made that really sad, but I'm not going to.
Music, man.
Ah, no, it's okay. But you know, the idea of a gentleman, even so far as my grandfather would not even curse in front of women at all. It was his own, morals. But he never thought that it was because he was better than other people. He always stressed that this was like a humility thing. So all these times I would be driving with my grandma, and she would basically keep telling me all these stories, and I was like, you know what? That's a damn good reason. That is a good way to live. I can see how people could really get behind this and excel with such an idea. It kind of saddens me now though, with the current political strife that's going on. You get to see a whole bunch of people who will argue in the streets amidst literal brawls, arguing about communism, of which they do not understand themselves. Some people don't understand the economics that they're arguing for either.
They don't have to, because even if it's good, if it came from Trump, it's racist.
I did briefly touch on this in my live stream today when I started talking shit about Gen X and the boomers for being terrible parents. As a whole, you know, millennials are the most creative and the most idealistic generation to have existed, as far as we know. And I think Because they have such a hard time with dealing with the fact that they're not special by the time that they come out of school. They're try desperately to find something special about themselves. Hence, why so many of these social justice types decide to, label themselves as trans, non-binary, whatever. And of course, they want to fight for something. They want to be the. Well, this is the reason why they're so joyless as a generation. They're completely unfulfilled. There's no joy to them. So they look to the most idealistic thing to fight for, if you will, and the most idealistic thing, and also the most unrealistic thing, is of course communism. They think that they're fighting the good fight, and unfortunately, this is most prominent in upper middle class millennials in particular, because because there's no struggle for them to fight other than themselves. So they direct their anger on the world in the form of social justice. They don't understand it. They'd have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what they're pushing. They just think, oh well, we can look after everybody and everybody can be a-okay. That they have no idea how even less special they'd be under the guise of communism.
See, these are the people that have led to the rise and popularity of things like sounding.
Oh, hey, Vanilla.
Just gonna leave that there. I agree with the whole they're looking for a fight, because people seem, and when you mentioned the boomers were coming out of a time with Cold Wars and actual wars. They were coming out of that, and we've lived somewhat semi-peacefully since. So people now looking for a fight. They're now trying to find a way to stand out, and it's harder when there's so many more people on the planet. The term unique doesn't mean a thing. Hell, in 2006, and this is not a joke, while there weren't many protests, although there were for Coca-Cola because some bullshit reason I couldn't give a fuck about, people tried to stand out by being individual, by dressing up and acting like emos. They thought they were individual while wearing skin-tight trousers, hoodies, and having their hair the same way as everyone else. They were so individual, which is what they claimed they were, that they were all the same. Just like every social justice warrior ever.
I also think it's a matter of massive impatience.
Yeah, because they always want the results now, don't they?
Yeah, and
play the long game.
Many of these people, they just do not understand that it takes a lot of time to get to. Well, as the saying goes, anything worth having, isn't easy to achieve. And the thing is thanks to social media, thanks to the internet, we can get instant results.
Yeah, but you can't do that with things like the economy, which is what they don't seem to understand.
Yeah, this is one thing I bang on about all the time. Social change takes time.
It's like, you need to raise more money to then buy this. Okay, let's do it now. How?
I actually think that Bear made a good point here, and I actually think that patience and humility kind of go hand in hand now that I think about it.
Well, you have to be patient. I've always been of the firm belief hard work pays off, and that's something that takes time. Right. You have to be willing to put the time in and the effort in to succeed.
Yeah, and this is where my greatest weakness is.
No, I would also say that, that's just a point, because if you work hard, but then you have that blip, doesn't matter what it is, something deviates, it causes cause and effect, basically.
I'm incredibly impatient.
Me too, actually.
And I have that biggest problem. My problem has been.
Whereas I'm too lazy to be impatient.
Yeah, it's because my brain never stops running, so I'm always fucking thinking. I should be.
Well, I have a cure for that. Antidepressants.
Oh,
I tried those, mate. They don't work for me, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry, man. Your brain's just too. It's just too alpha.
It's too advanced.
It's too retarded. It's too much downs in there.
Too much downs.
The medication can't counter the downs-tism.
Struggling to get through the Downs membrane.
The Downs is too strong.
It can't break through the Downs wall. It's just there's too much. It's too thick with the breakfast.
Thick.
And that's got a K in it. 2 Ks.
Oh, 2 Ks now.
Better 2 than 3. Racist.
Uh,
He's a grand wizard dragon.
but no, I think it took me a little bit to actually get this stream going, so I may end up cutting it just about the 10:30 mark for you guys, because I know Bear, you gotta run off to Ghost Poo,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and I've got to go
Meg,
off to
you've got
Wex's
another
Mel's
stream.
Rocket League. Yeah, I'm gonna go play Rocket League at 10:30. Yeah.
So do you guys have
Stuff.
anything that you guys want to say to the 7 people watching?
I love
Go to
you.
White's Mel stream and downvote it.
Jesus.
Subscribe to Keemstar.
Yes, he needs the subs, everyone. He doesn't have enough. He'll never be PewDiePie.
All right, thank you guys all for coming out to the stream, and we'll do this again very soon. And I'll see you guys very soon. Bye bye.
Moist.
Penis.